based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
The games begin.
On Sirius XM, you get all the sports play-by-play you want and all the live sports talk you need. It's always a home game when you listen to the NFL, NHL, NBA, and MLB on the all-new Sirius XM app.
How good is that?
Refuel your fandom with NASCAR, the biggest college games, PTA, and soccer. And when news breaks, hear instant reaction.
We got a big developing story out of Cincinnati.
The all-new Sirius XM app. Everything a sports fan needs, all in one place.
Your business, your money, your life.
Marketing, expanding, and branding.
SiriusXM Business Radio.
SiriusXM Business Radio.
Your business, your money, your life.
Entrepreneurs, CEOs, and investors.
SiriusXM Business Radio.
To hear Business Radio, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or go to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see. Let's see. You gotta get this. You gotta get this. Let's see.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at EquityZoneMortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you, as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. 018-14868.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me and people who love the universe, and that would include you. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? Shut up, fool, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, as I say, you heard me give my speech last night to become the next president, and when people said yes, they didn't know I was talking about of the United States. So I had to get up early in the morning so they could hear me. I was voted president of my neighborhood watch program, but they thought they were waiting for me to show up at the RNC last night. And they said, well, you showed up at the RNC, but I didn't hear you talk about reparations, Big C. I said, because that was not me. You can tell we don't look alike. Not everybody looks alike, but you can feel like you look alike. I want to say today's show on a beautiful July 19th. In 2024, today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, and tell them sit you, where the good Lord split you. And hopefully the good Lord didn't split you too wide, because a lot of people are split real wide. I do want to say today's show, you know, I always champion reparations on Big C Sports Podcast. I do have a little bit of egg on my face because I thought last night at the RNC that they were going to talk about championing reparations, but they did not. I got Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. As you know, going into the weekend, a lot of good old boys, they will be swinging the bat and swinging for the fences. And then if I have some time, I'm going to get in some big games coming up in Big C's college football, big matchups. The big-time players make big-time plays. I say big-time players make big-time plays. So I'm going to talk about some of that as well. But I do feel there's a book I was reading. It's called "Don't Bullshit Yourself." It's by John Taffer. It says crush the excuses that are holding you back. If you have any excuses holding you back, you don't want to let the excuses hold you back. And I want to bring that to the Big C Sports Podcast as well. Number one, I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives. I know I can use more laughter in my life. And then the commercials are done. The stats are provided. I do the storytelling. I even do the play-by-play. Runners on first and second. That counts for the pitch. Fastball, swung on, hit deep. Left field, back to the wall. All right. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. My little friend is a baseball when they hit yard, if that makes sense to you. And I want to tell you, and then the show is uploaded to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City. And then streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Number 10, I never missed a show since creating Big C Sports with the crew back in the days of Salem Media. And now we have people who miss practice. I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about practice. I never missed a show with Big C Sports Podcast. Do joy, pain, sunshine, and rain. That makes sense to you. All's fair and level work. I do also want to say with every Big C Sports Podcast, it's important to me. It may not be important to everybody, but it's important to me. I love paying homage to the Veterans Crisis Hotline because they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. And everybody, at some point in time, we need someone to help us cross the street. And the Veterans Crisis Hotline, they help you cross the street. I want to say, if you know anybody going through issues, pick up the phone, call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255, or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give it some praise because we all need somebody to lean on. And it's so good when somebody is leaning back, and that's what I love about the Veterans Crisis Hotline. They do a great job for our military veterans. A lot of guys are suffering, men and women suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, and they need someone to help them, and that's why I love giving out that hotline. A lot of other companies do it, but I think I'm the only sports show in the universe that does it for every show with Big C Sports Podcast. I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. And just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then God said, let there be light. I want to add my 2 cents, if that makes sense to you. I love bringing you the Veterans Crisis Hotline because a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and I don't want to waste my mind. No matter what people think, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I have been last week dealing with some vestiges of heat stroke, but I think I feel a little bit better, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. But there's a book by John Taffer. It says, don't bullshit yourself. You got to rise and shine no matter what. And I'm going to talk a little bit about rising and shining because everybody has. Sometimes we feel frustrated that nothing is going your way, and it feels like there's nothing you can do about it. And you might be making excuses and not even realize it. And I reject excuses and embrace solutions. When I'm done with doing my things every day, I want to have a solution, not just an excuse. Everybody has their own thoughts about how you make excuses in life, and John Taffer has a great book, and it's called Don't Bullshit Yourself. I want to make sure that I don't myself because excuses don't make things happen. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. You know, as I always tell you, I'm working on a program also with Big C Sports and the RDC team, and I want to make sure that I do my best to make that commercial as clear as possible. Some people call it an infomercial, and I even got myself in I went to a store today, and it's called Goat Fuel. I said Goat Fuel. It's Goat Fuel Cream Soda. Now, I don't want to normally drink soda. I'm normally a coffee drinker. It says it's for sports energy. Well, Goat is greatest of all time, so I figured I'd try to get me some of that. So I figured I'd get me some Goat Fuel. And I said, when I read the ingredients, I don't see anything that says goat. I said, I don't see anything that says goat. So maybe I shouldn't have had it, but I'm going to see if I can replace coffee with it. Oh, for heaven, war. I just be careful. I don't want to make excuses. When they told me it was goat fuel, I was expecting they would at least have a little bit of something from a goat. They had nothing from a goat whatsoever. It's all some type of genetically engineered soft drink, carbonated water, and then some like 19 other ingredients. Maybe I shouldn't have should have just had water, but all fair and love and war. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. If you heard the RNC speech last night, POTUS said that when people heard gunshots, that they were so concerned with him they didn't even run. I said, what? He said when people heard gunshots, they were so concerned about him that they didn't even run. That makes no sense. If you hear gunshots, you're gonna run. There's a lot of people think that was staged. No matter what you say, if you got blood on your ear, why isn't any on your shirt collar? I was shaving the other day, and I nicked myself, and I didn't know that I nicked myself. I'm talking about a small eraser type nick that you get from a pen and pencil, a pencil with a little eraser on the back of it. And every now and then, if you shave, you might nick yourself. I had blood on my collar. I had blood on my hand. There was blood on the collar of my shirt. And I said, well, I can't wear that shirt. It has blood on it. And that was from a razor. It wasn't from a gunshot. Now, I've been shot before. It was blood all over my clothes, blood all over my face. It was running down. I thought it was raining. And I said, something don't make sense. What did Keith Sweat said? He said, something just ain't right. And then he had a Band-Aid on his ear from a week ago. Big old white gauze. You gotta let things air out if you've really been shot. I'm just saying things that make you go, You got a Band-Aid, you stop the bleeding. When I nicked myself by shaving, I wore a Band-Aid for only about maybe an hour and a half at the most, just to get the blood to dry up, and then I take the blood off and the scab came. This was a week. Going on a week? No blood on the collar? Welcome to Have You Not Been Entertained? All fair and love and war. And they had all those entertainers up there from WWE wrestling and all that jazz. Dana White, the UFC, people were up there giving Kid Rock, and they were all entertained. Have you not been entertained? Nobody wears a bandage for over a week. If that makes sense to you, you gotta let it dry out. If it's still bleeding from over a week, you got bigger problems, if that makes sense to you. But be that as it may, I wish the best for everybody. Just be careful. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. Is this a man who wrecked the buffet at the Hero Club this morning? Is this a man who disabled an unmarked police car with a banana? You must be the pride of your department. That was Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop. I know. But when you think about it, Victor Maitland was a bad dude. He was always trying to pull the wool over somebody's eyes. The great Victor Maitland was a bad dude, always trying to pull the wool over somebody's eyes. Don't let someone pull the wool over your eyes. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And the great John Taffer said, don't bullshit yourself. Excuse me, what did he say, Big C? He said, don't bullshit yourself. When somebody's bleeding, they ain't bleeding for a week. Have you not been entertained? Oh, Fred Leverwire. Well, I want to say, again, when baseball comes up, Major League Baseball, the All-Star Game, they said it had the second lowest ratings in Major League Baseball All-Star Games in about 20 years, and that's a shame because they were down in Texas where obviously people love football more, but even the national news didn't tune into the baseball as much. I think what baseball's doing that maybe hurt itself a little bit is they spend more time trying to get people to stream baseball as opposed to turn it to the networks. And when you get people used to watching things on the networks, they don't do a Nielsen rating for your Palm device. They don't do a Nielsen rating for your cell phone. So yeah, maybe the ratings are down on television because a lot of people are streaming now. Same with NFL football. I think 93 of the top 100 shows on TV were NFL football last year. But even with that, they're getting people to stream devices. So just because network television says you that viewership was down for the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, it doesn't mean that they were counting people who were watching on their phone or their computers, if that makes sense to you. Well, that's something that you got to pay attention to because maybe it really wasn't down. And then it may in your life get the whole. Have you ever seen such a great play? Well, the great Tiger Woods, he's going to bow out from the golf tournament over the weekend. I'll talk a little bit about Tiger Woods too. And you want to crown him? Crown him. He has 15 majors, and then he has 82 tournament victories. But I think he'll win again. But right now he's having a hard time making the cut. His cut and he didn't need a Band-Aid for this cut, if that makes sense to you, but he's had a hard time making the cut lately. I'll talk a little bit about Tiger Woods, but Tiger Woods still a great golfer. But when you're injured and you're trying to go to the golf course and you're trying to walk 18 holes, it's a lot easier driving 18 holes than walking 18 holes. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I still hope the great Tiger Woods can come back and do his thing. I want to tell you, I got a commercial. It's called an infomercial, and I have a guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth, Resource Development Consulting, Inc., in conjunction with the law office of Scott Thibodeau and the law office of attorney George Jones. The Missing Link, Long-Term Care Solutions by the book. Over 3 decades of experience helping seniors get their benefits, Medicare and You, and taking care of tomorrow. In California, it's called Medi-Cal. In other states, it's called Medicaid. Your family and spouse can avoid the spend down for nursing home costs. You can find out your options, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. I promise to you, specialized to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits. Protection of your assets without a spend down. All paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by a staff of entitlement specialists. Ongoing consultants to provide updates as necessary. Benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescription medications, medical equipment costs, and more. Not only that, have you ever dealt with anyone who's dealt with skilled nursing facilities? Have you ever dealt with anyone who's ever dealt with medical prescriptions, like the ones you took this morning? Have you ever dealt with anyone who's dealt with medical equipment costs and more? Not only that, protection of your assets, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family. When it comes to asset protection, I told you I'm a Trekkie. I like Star Trek, but I also like Star Wars. I'm on the USS Starship Enterprise on a 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. May lightning strike! When they go on the warp drive, it makes it sound like lightning. And they were cruising around some planets throughout the universe, and they came up on a planet, and they said, well, what kind of planet is that? It has blinking lights on it. And someone said, well, it's a black planet, so it looks like we haven't seen it in our charts. And Captain Kirk said, raise the shields just to make sure. And Scotty said, why? It's just a black planet. And Captain Kirk said, Scott, are you out of your fucking mind? Don't bullshit yourself. Raise the shields. And then Scotty said, okay, well, I'll raise the shields. And Darth Vader, he has a Death Star, and he saw that shiny spaceship called the Starship Enterprise, the USS Starship Enterprise. And just when Darth Vader wanted to put it in his force field beam, Scotty raised the shields. And then Darth Vader said to Scotty and Captain Kirk, he said, hey, lower your shields. This is a command from the Federation. And Captain Kirk and Scotty said, how do you know we asked to put up the shields? He said, I'm using the Force. I said, who are you using the Force? You're just a planet. You don't talk. Planets don't talk. He said, but I'm Darth Vader. He said, I don't want to hear your bullshit. He said, lower your shields. And Scotty said, Captain, should we lower the shields? And the Captain says, Body, are you out of your fucking mind? Don't raise the shields. In fact, give me warp speed now. And they got away. Just as the great Death Star and Darth Vader were going to try to apprehend the USS Starship Enterprise. They used the trust. He trusted their instinct and saved the life of the entire Starfleet crew. If that makes sense to you, like the RDC team, you got to put your properties in a trust because it protects your assets. If that makes sense to you, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family. Avoid the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program called probate. Believe me, if you don't have a trust in the will, the probate court, they will have a will for you. Don't bullshit yourself. What'd you say, Dixie? I said, don't bullshit yourself. You gotta have a will and a trust because the probate, they will come after you if that makes sense to you. A one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. Not only that, I'm not done yet. When it comes to asset protection, you gotta know protection insurance coverage required by law. The general liability, workers' compensation, lawyers specializing in living trust, Medicaid or Medi-Cal planning for long-term care, avoid probate, life insurance, veterans benefits with aid and attendance, pre-planning, and avoid the look-back period. Now, the trust, it protects your fixed assets, your bank account, your checking account, your savings account, money market accounts, certificates of deposit, life insurance with cash values, your fixed index annuities. But not only that, when you go into some banks said you can't use our banking services. You got to use the ATM because our banks are down. Something have to do with some type of computer program where the banks were not able to do all the function. Even airlines are having delays because somebody did not protect the assets of the airlines, and they blame it on the computer. So therefore, people have to be late getting to their destination, if that makes sense to you. A trust also protects your variable assets, your real estate, your qualified money, IRA, 401k, and other investments. Avoid capital gains. Let's say you buy a house for $100,000, and 1 year later, it appreciates to $1 million. According to some real estate brokers, they say what they got to say to make a sale. But you avoid capital gains. That's a $900,000 capital gain. You avoid that with a trust. Attention business owners. Attention business owners. I say attention business owners. This is Darth Vader, and I want you to lower your shields. Mr. Block said, Darth Vader, are you out of your fucking mind? Don't position yourself. Don't lower those shields. You got to have a trust, business owners, because the Darth Vader is looking out there. It is looking to kill, steal, and destroy. Don't trust Darth Vader. He says, I'm your father. He says, Luke. He says, Captain Kirk, Scotty, Spock, I am your father. And Captain Kirk said, you're not my dad. He said, yes, I am. Trust the Force. You can feel it. You can feel it. I'm your daddy. And Captain Kirk said, you're not my dad. And Darth Vader said, oh, well, you must not be Luke. He said, I'm not Luke. I'm Captain James T. Kirk. I'm not going to lower my shields. I got to protect my assets. The USS Starship Enterprise. Well, those attorneys are not Darth Vader. They're out there looking for people who don't have a trust. Attention business owners, over 3 decades of experience. You got to find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. And when someone says, well, why would we trust you? Why would we trust you? My best friend, he has asset protection too. Well, when your best friend tells you that he can protect your assets, ask your best friend who endorses their program. With the RDC team, we have the endorsement of the late Robert Carlson. He was a former top legal mind of CalPERS. If that makes sense to you, he endorsed the RDC team. Not only that, we have the late James Gomez, who advised over 4 governors in California and also served on Golden One's board of directors. You got to understand, he endorsed the RDC team. Sacramento, California, United States. The CEO of California Association of Health Facilities. For 21 years doing his things, and he endorsed the RDC team. But not only that, we have Attorney George Jones, the chairman of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, endorsed the RDC team. Also, the California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation, he endorsed the RDC team. Also, Attorney Scott Thibodeau, he endorsed the RDC team, one of the top estate planners in Northern California. But not only that, we have Mr. Leon Woods of Resource Development Consulting, who works with many of the top lobbyists in California. He endorsed the RDC team. But not only that, we have Ms. Cheryl Brown, the chair of the California Commission on Aging. She endorsed the RDC team. But not only that, we have Mr. Ray De La Cruz, the CEO of Resource Development Consulting. But not only that, been doing this thing over 34 years. And then we have Mr. Alex De La Cruz, founder of American Veteran Benefits. He endorses the RDC team. But not only that, we have Charlton Curry, co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project. He endorses the RDC team. Isn't he you, Big C? Yeah, but let me tell the story. Not only that, business development consultant with RDC team. Not only that, owner of Big C Sports Podcast. But not only that, we have Double O, the PR committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. She endorses the RDC team. Not only that, also consultant with the RDC team. Does weekly Zooms for the RDC team. Not only that, has her own economics awareness talk show called Let's Eat. She endorses the RDC team. You got to give us all praise. I said, give us all praise, praise, praise. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. When your friend says, lower your shields, you got to say, don't position yourself. Are you out of your fucking mind? When Darth Vader shows up, like some of those attorneys looking to get after your assets, don't lower your shields. You got to have a trust. It protects you, if that makes sense to you. Well, you know, I always talk about some things when it comes to Big C Sports. I love paying homage to the California Reparations Task Force. I think I'm the only sports show in the universe. I do it every show because a mind is a trouble thing. Anyways, I thought that they were going to talk about it last night at the RNC convention, but they didn't. They did say they're going to talk about black jobs. What's a black job, Big C? I don't know. But they say they're going to protect black jobs. I don't even know what that means. They talk nothing about Project 2025. Conspicuously absent. But you got to Google it, and that way you can read the stuff for yourself. I want to make sure, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste, I want to pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force, the inimitable Dr. Shirley Weber. Secretary of the State of California. I love giving her praise. She worked with California Governor Gavin Newsom to put together a task force. They mandated it. They had 9 members to come up with solutions for reparations for descendants of chattel slavery. A lot like the Just Act that is there for descendants of Holocaust that was put together by the United States Department of Labor, Congress, and the German government. Just Google the Just Act, and that's what they're looking for descendants of chattel slavery. Also, like the Indian reservations where you go to gamble your money, that's part of the reparations for Native Americans that were murdered as people tried to take over the United States, if that makes sense to you. And also like the Japanese Americans who got reparations for the internment camps, they're trying to do the same thing for descendants of chattel slavery. I want to thank the chair, Camila Moore. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I love giving her praise. I want to thank Dr. M.C. Brown, the vice chair. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. He's actually been on the Big Street Sports podcast about 2 months ago. I want to thank California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. Met him many times in his office and also at reparations task force meetings. He also sponsored Name, Image, and Likeness. You'll hear that when college student athletes can get paid on their name, image, and likeness. Well, that's California Senator Stephen Bradford who's responsible for that. I love giving him praise. He also helped craft the app, the Ebony Alert, that has law enforcement put the same amount of resources into finding missing black children as the Amber Alert puts into finding missing white children. And he's also championing for reparations. Really do appreciate him. He's like Moses in Exodus. When God told Moses, he said, go down into Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. And Moses said to God, well, who do I tell him to send me? And God said, tell him I am sent you. And Senator Bradford was the same way when he went to the Senate and the legislature in California. God told Senator Bradford, he said, go down into the state capitol and tell them to pass reparations. And Senator Bradford said, well, who do I tell them sent me? And God said, tell him I am sent you. And he's been getting bills passed, and I really do appreciate he puts pen to paper. And that's what I love about Senator Stephen Bradford of California. A brilliant man. I love following his tutelage. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to a council member, Monica Montgomery Stepp. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to a assembly member, Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California, Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to attorney Donald K. Tamaki. He's part of the Japanese. He's part of a Japanese American that received reparations, part of the California Reparations Task Force. I love giving them all praise, giving all praise. And now I want to let you hear from the best speaker in the history of this country when it comes to reparations.
Martin Luther King, we had a conversation a couple days ago about handouts and how these right-wing memes, these Republican memes, have infiltrated the Democratic debate to suggest that, ending welfare as we know it, all those kind of things are somehow, great and noble things, when we're not dealing with the underlying problem, which is that there's no economic opportunity there because of insane trade policies and because of Reaganomics. And Martin Luther King spoke to this. Jim and Shane, this is clip number 4. Martin Luther King spoke to this sometime back in the early 60s. And I thought this was a really interesting quote. Here he is.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps.
Called black jobs.
This is what we are faced with, and this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we're coming to get our check.
From his speech, The Two Nations of Black America. And it's absolutely brilliant. And the next time some white person talks about, well, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and my family did too, especially the Bundy boys. I mean, here's Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. talking about how basically whites stole the West from the Indians with the complete, and didn't just steal it. I mean, murdered them he murdered the Indians in the process, and did not give any of these benefits to African Americans for 100 years in this country. It's a strong case for reparations or some variation on it, for rebuilding our cities, for doing right after having done wrong for so many centuries. It is a very, very strong case for that.
Reparations now, reparations forever. I love seeing reparations now and reparations forever because it's real, and I love dealing with real things when it comes to Big C Sports Podcast. And I know last night I was a little bit embarrassed last night. They did not talk about reparations at the GNC last night in Milwaukee. So I was wrong. It's okay to be wrong sometime. But hopefully, maybe they'll talk about it next time. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I do want to get in the world of golf, because golf is something that you think about what it takes to put a golf ball in the hole, if that makes sense to you. If you think it's easy, don't bullshit yourself. A yardie ball in mine. It's hard to shoot at 66 in a golf tournament. But Tiger Woods, he ends the season by missing the cut at the British Open. I wish Tiger would talk about reparations, because so many things that happened in the civil rights movement made it possible for him to even join the PGA and amass the millions of dollars, some people say billion, that he's made. But he ends the season by missing the cut in the British Open. And Tiger Woods of the United States, he waved his hands as he walked to the 18th green during the second round of the British Open Golf Championship at Royal Troon Golf Club in Troon, Scotland. Today, all's fair in love and war, but Tiger Woods tied a personal record in the British Open today. He could have done without, but perhaps should come to expect at this time. Woods matched his highest 36-hole score as a golf professional. He shot 156 to miss the cut for the third straight time in a major, and he tapped in for a routine par on the 18th hole at Royal Troon and signed a 6 over 77. That's not good for the Tiger Woods. A round that got away from him early with a double bogey and never improved during the day. He said it wasn't very good. He said he made a double right out of the hopper, and when I needed to go the other way, just fighting it pretty much all day. Never really hit it close enough to make birdies, and consequently made a lot of bogeys. We're not used to seeing Tiger Woods in his prime make bogeys, but he's not in his prime right now. But he's a lot more in his prime than a lot of guys who've never even made it as far as he's had 15 Masters, 15 championships. But that brought a short season to an abrupt end. Woods said he won't play again until December, and possibly his unofficial Hero World Challenge with a 20-man field in the Bahamas. He specifically referenced that he jokingly calls his fifth major, the PNC Championship, a 36-hole exhibition where he plays alongside his 15-year-old son, Charlie. He played all 4 majors for the first time since 2019. That's the year he won the Masters for his 15th career major, but he played only one other tournament, withdrawing after 24 holes in the Genesis Invitational in February because of the flu. He needs to play more to get sharp, but playing more risk taking a toll on his body that's been battered by back surgeries and then knee surgeries. And then in February of 2021, he had a car crash that shattered his right leg and his ankle. It's the ultimate catch-22 for a player who turns 49 years old at the end of the year. He said he'd like to have played more, but he just wants to make sure that he's able to play the major championship this year. He said a lot of time is taking time off is better, especially for Tiger, because he's had to repair knee and back and ankle, etc. But it's something that he has to deal with and will for the rest of his life. Physically, he's gotten better, which is great. He said he just needs to keep progressing and then eventually start playing more competitively and start getting into the kind of competitive flow again. He's never liked the idea of being a ceremonial golfer, but that's what the score suggests. A lot of guys would love to shoot 156 over 2 days, but not when you're the best golfer in the history of the universe. So there's times, like Colin Montgomery said, it's time to step aside. Colin Montgomery doesn't even have Tiger's pedigree to even talk about step on the side. When Tiger shows up, the TV ratings are up. Even if he's not going to win, you got to get out there and swing the golf club anyway, if that makes sense to him. In his 10 rounds at the majors this year, his average score was 75. He shot over par in all but one round, and even par 72 in the first round at the Masters, and has gone 15 consecutive rounds in the majors since he last broke par. Now, Tiger also had a 156 when he missed the cut in the 2015 U.S. Open at Chambers Bay, where he was trying to return to the form that would be before he had his back surgeries. His only 36-hole score higher was a 157 at Bay Hill in 1994 when he was a high school senior. There was plenty of ceremony at Royal Troon, but it wasn't all bad. Shane Lowry, who took the early 36-hole lead, had the loudest gallery. Tiger had the biggest one. They honored their champions at the British Open. And then the great Tiger Woods long has been treated like royalty. He hit his approach onto the 18th green and began the slow walk between two large grandstands. Warm applause soon gave way. It was like, get the hole in your life! They were cheering the great Tiger Woods. At the same time, the ovation that fans, young and old, rose to their feet the closer he got to the green. So Woods removed his cap, he saluted the crowd, and he waved to them again, and he walked up the green. Every British Open he plays leaves fans wondering if that would be the last time they see him. But if he wasn't ruling out of a return, the British Open returns to Royal Portrush in 2025. Yeah, definitely, Tiger Woods said when asked if he would be there. He said, yeah, you can only hope that he brings a better game and that he can be a little bit more sharp. That he missed the cut was inevitable the way he started with his 79, his highest start in a major since 19. Think about that. Since he shot an 80 in the U.S. Open at Chambers Bay. To make the cut, he would need to score that he hasn't produced since before the car crashed. And that the hopes ended quickly. He went from the left rough to the right of the green on a par 4, second hole, and he had a pitch over the edge of a pot bunker, and with the ball landed on a slope and just shot forward just through the green. But he had another slope in his line to the hole, so he had to chip that. It was a little strong 4 feet by his bogey putt, didn't even touch the hole. It's just the worst glaring issue for Tiger Woods in his return from the car crash. So much attention has been on his legs carrying him around the golf course, but little has been made of his hands on a putter that used to be the most reliable stroke in the universe. But he had the injuries, he had the surgeries, and of course it's not going to be the same. So Woods, he rarely looked like he was going to make anything except for the par 5, 6-hole, his best sequence of the day. And Woods went for the right through the rough with a good lie on the left rough, and he smoked a 3-wood into the green to 20 feet and poured it in the middle. No matter what people think about Tiger Woods, he's not going to be what he was. But the fact that he shows up, and the fact that people pay attention when Tiger's going to be in any golf tournament, you got to know it's good for the sport of golf. Because with Tiger Woods not playing, the numbers are down. He had some bad breaks, none worse than a par 5 16th. He hit a long iron with the wind at his back. A perfect shot, except that it landed to the backside of the hump and shot forward and rolled some 75 yards until it tumbled onto the burn. By then, it was too late. He was always double digits over par from this double bogey on the number 2 and never threatened to make a run. At the same time, Tiger says, I've always loved playing major championships. I just wish I was more physically sharp coming into the majors. He said, I'm not making excuses. It just tests you mentally, physically, emotionally, and he just wants to be as sharp as he needs to be. He was hoping that he would find his groove, but it did not happen. But no matter what the great Tiger Woods does on the golf course, you got to think about the times that Tiger's been the best golfer ever, and no matter what he does to win a tournament, people still know his name. And sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and that's what Tiger Woods has done. So no matter what people think about Tiger, should he hang it up? I don't think he should hang it up. I think he's been able to put his thoughts into his son and his daughter and make sure that they have the best opportunities in life. But he may have a comeback. He may still win a championship coming up. He's probably going to keep golf for the next 3 or 4 years, showing up, and he's going to select his tournaments. But no matter what people think about Tiger, even if he never wins another championship, who's won 15 championships? You think about that. He and Jack are right there, but Jack didn't have to deal with the racism and the segregation and the segregated courses and all the enmity that the Tigers had too. So you got to think about that, and Tiger had the crash that set him aside for about almost a decade. Jack didn't have to deal with that. But no matter what you think, Tiger's good for the game of golf. In your life, don't you ever retire. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. But I got another sport that I want to get into. That's closer to home, and there's no place like home. The great Dorothy of the Wizard of Oz said long ago in a galaxy far, far away. I gotta get you. In my thinking, we just had the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, and some people said the numbers were down. I say the numbers were down because people watch more with their streaming devices more than they do on television. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. But I love baseball. It just gotta find its groove, and it's going to find its groove. They even have baseball coming to Northern California with the Oakland A's. They're going to be leaving Oakland next year and going to Sacramento because they want to play in 105-degree temperature as opposed to 85-degree temperature in the Bay Area. Oh, Fair 11 were on their way to Las Vegas. I got to go my number 10 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. I got runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Curveball, swung on, hit deep, left field, back to the wall. Hooray! Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. I got the Houston Astros. The Astros opened the second half with a 3-game series in Seattle. They want to make them sleepless in Seattle, and it sure feels like they'll leave in first place or at least tied for first place. You got to love the way Houston swings the bat. Down in Texas, they're trying to leave them sleepless. In Seattle, runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Curveball, swung on, hit deep, left field, back to the wall. Hooray! Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. Got number 9, the Boston Red Sox. The great David Hamilton has 23 steals, while the great Jarren Duran has 22. The last time the Red Sox had 2 players in the top 30 steals in a season, it was 1910. The great Harry Harper and also Tris Speaker all spread on the board. You got the Green Monster in Boston, and they love seeing when the Red Sox hit deep, especially when they hit over the Green Monsters. That's my story, and I'm taking with it. I got number 8 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. Runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Curveball, swung on, hit deep, left field, back to the wall. Hooray! Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. I got the Milwaukee Brewers. They were also waiting for a POTUS 45 to talk about reparations last night. Instead, he talked about black jobs, if that makes sense to you. The Milwaukee Brewers, like several other teams, they need the break of getting on base more. They've lost 7 of 10, but they're better than that. You can do better than that, Milwaukee. They're 7 of 10, and I think they'll find their groove. But I'm still going to put them number 8 in Big C's Major League Power Rankings. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I got number 7 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. Runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Fastball, swung on, hit deep, right field, back to the wall. Hooray! Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. We got the Minnesota Twins and the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. A rough series lost in San Francisco, the city by the bay, versus the city from the Great Lakes. But things continue to look pretty good for a Twins run in the second half. San Francisco, they're also trying to find their groove. But you got to know the Twins, they're still a great team. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I got number 6 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. Runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Slider, swung on, hit deep, left field, back to the wall. Hooray! Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. You got the Atlanta Braves down in Stone Mountain, Georgia. There are pitching questions that need to be answered, but the Braves currently they rank in the top 10 in the National League in runs scored and 13th in on-base percentage. That just isn't going to cut it. I think the Braves, they have the batting power, they have the pitching, they just got to find their groove, and I think they'll be able to make another run at the NLDS, if that makes sense to you. But not so fast, my friends. I got number 5 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. Runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Curveball, swung on, hit deep. Center field, back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. Got the LA Dodgers at Chavez Ravine. The following Dodgers starters. Pitchers are injured. Tyler Glasnow, Yamamata's injured. The great Clayton Kershaw's injured. Bueller's injured. Dustin May's injured. Tony Gosson, and yes, the great Shohei Ohtani. And that's quite a collection of damaged goods. You ever go into the grocery store and you want to buy some tomatoes? You pick over the ones that are bruised. And right now the Dodgers pitching staff is bruised. But when they get back right around September, maybe even in August, I think they'll show that they're one of the top teams in Major League Baseball. That's why I got on number 5 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I got number 2. Actually, make it number 3. I'm going to say, maybe I'm going to put him number 4. I'm going to put number 4 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. I got runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Curveball, swung on, in deep. Right field, back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. I got the New York Yankees. You got to think the Yankees, did they get right in the Orioles series? Hard to tell, especially when them blowing that chance to sweep on Sunday. The Yankees need to prove that they aren't the 2023 squad. On the repeat, this might feel too high, but all the top teams were losing except the Phillies. And the Phillies lost the series to the A's, if that makes sense to you. It's been a weird week in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. I'm still going to say, even though they got the best of the Orioles, I'm going to put number 3 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. Runners on first and second. That counts for the pitch. Curveball, swung on, hit deep. Right field, back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love seeing the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. I got the Baltimore Orioles. That comeback in the ninth on Sunday brought them some grace, but the Orioles still sputtered into the break, losing 5 of 6, getting swept at home by the Cubs. This team, they got to get their groove back, but I think they will. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I got number 2 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. Runners on first and second. That counts for the pitch. Curveball, swung on, in deep. Left field, back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and the men love to hit deep. Got the Cleveland. This is for you. The Guardians, they finished in the first half losing 4 of 5 in 11 of 18. But that doesn't mean they can't get their groove back. Just like the movie Major League back in the days with Charlie Sheen, they got to have the better pitching, but they can swing the bat. I know they've been on a roller coaster ride of late, but I do think this team, they have what it takes to challenge again at the end. I really do think they have enough to challenge at the end. I'm going to go number 1 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings because the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. Runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Curveball, swung on, hit deep. Center field, back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. I got the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies are on a pace to win about 106 games. You think about that. They're an amazing team. Their franchise record is 102, which is set in 2011. They've only gotten to 100 wins 3 times. They may be on their way to doing it this year, unless they have some injuries, because they're dominant in the outfield. They're pitching solid. They do everything that it takes to win, and that's why I have the Philadelphia Phillies at Big C's number 1 team in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. May lightning strike. Hopefully it don't strike too hard, if that makes sense to you. I know we might be away, about a month away, not even that far, from college football. College football is as American as apple pie. And there are some big games in college football for the 2024 season. I know we have, for the first time, we have the inaugural 12-team playoff bracket. We went from back in the 70s and 80s just picking the Associated Press and a coaches poll champion. And then they went into a situation where they played number 1 versus number 2, the BCS championship. And then they expanded that to 4 teams being in. And there were a lot of teams felt left out. Now they expanded 12 teams, and some teams still feel left out. So like expounding the Big Ten, and the SEC taking up most of the spots, and it's way too early to just say who's going to be number one. It's a shame the Pac-12 is gone. They dissolved. USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon went to the Big Ten. Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah, they joined the Big 12. And that's a shame. Cal and Stanford, they joined the ACC. All we have left in the Pac-12 is Oregon State and Washington State. That doesn't make any sense. But I want to bring up a couple of games that will merit a lot of attention for the 2024 college football season. It's just my thought. You got the LSU Tigers versus the USC Trojans. It's going to be September 1st in Las Vegas. Now, two coaches whose stock took a marginal dip in Brian Kelly for LSU and Lincoln Riley of USC. They look to get back to the ranks of the elite early during the 2024 campaign. This one's made for the bright lights of Las Vegas and features the quarterbacks that will battle to attract considerable attention. And the first-year starters, Garrett Nissemeyer and Miller Moss, taking over. Both come off fantastic performances during bowl wins and each have multiple years in their respective offenses. Look for a lot of fireworks down in Las Vegas. I got USC winning that one in Southern California, not that far from Las Vegas. Maybe not in time enough for the bullet train, but I think they'll get a win down in Las Vegas. There's another big game coming up, Alabama at Wisconsin, September 14th. The first of 5 contests involving the defending SEC champions in college football they'll see very quickly how far along Alabama is under first-year coach Kalen DeBoer, who coached last year at the University of Washington and took them to the national championship where they lost to Michigan. The Crimson Tide will take their first road trip of the season. This matchup, equally important, the great Luke Fickell will bring a year 2 with a bang after the Badgers failed to impress based on lofty expectations last year. DeBoer's first order of business this month in Tuscaloosa is trying to win and show the crowd down at Alabama that they're going to be fine. And I think they will. I got another big game formerly out of the Pac-12. Now the Big 12, the Utah Utes at the Oklahoma State Cowboys. The only Big 12 inclusion in this power ranking of most important games. When you think about how good Utah's been in the Pac-12 for the last couple of years, going to the Rose Bowl 2 out of the last 3 years, and then they're taking on the Oklahoma State Cowboys that may have one of the top running backs in the country. Not many teams from the Big 12 are going to be expected to win a national championship. But a trip to Stillwater for the first time is a vital game for the Utah Utes in their quest for taking a conference title from last season's runner-up. Cam Rising, keep an eye out for him, the quarterback at Utah. Maybe consider it for the Heisman Trophy. And then there's another big game. It's called a game that I like. It used to be the biggest game always in college football. The Florida State Seminoles at the Miami Hurricanes. It's October 26th. The first of a couple of ACC games next season, expected to see a heavy impact on the league's title picture. The Sunshine State rivalry could be a mid-season indicator of the league's playoff hopes this fall, and if the Seminoles will be good enough for another unbeaten regular season. I think about the days that Miami had that 57-game unbeaten win streak down at the Orange Bowl. It was snapped by none other than Donnie James and the Washington Huskies back in 1994. Well, can Miami rise? Can they raise Kane the way they used to back in the 80s? We will see. All's fair in love and war. I got another big game that a lot of people want to pay attention to. Clemson versus Georgia, August 31st in Atlanta. Early lines for this seismic ACC-SEC matchup suggest the Bulldogs are a double-digit favorite, which is exactly what the bulletin board for Dabo Swinney wants to say the Tigers need for their locker room. Georgia's always going to reload. They do a great job recruiting, and I think they'll be all over Clemson in this game. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I got another big game. You got Penn State at USC. It used to be what was considered a Rose Bowl matchup. In addition to playing the Nittany Lions in Los Angeles, USC will host Wisconsin, Notre Dame, and also travel to Michigan, UCLA, and Washington. They also open against LSU in Las Vegas, as I already talked about. It's a brutal schedule for Lincoln Riley and the USC Trojans, but I think they'll be up to it. We have a rematch of last year's national championship, Michigan at Washington at Husky Stadium, October 5th. New coaches square off out west in a rematch of last season's national championship. A win would be pivotal toward Big Ten title hopes. At the same time, Washington is very tough to beat at home, and in my opinion, I think they will take revenge over the Michigan Wolverines. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. We got the Florida State Seminoles at Notre Dame November 9th. Now, Clemson played Notre Dame in these non-conference tilts a couple of times. in recent years, going back to the days of Charlie Ward when Lou Holtz was on the sideline for Notre Dame, and they got a win over Florida State because maybe a yard was considered an inch, or an inch was considered a yard. A touchdown was not called a touchdown. All fair and level war. Those things tend to happen at Notre Dame. But another big game that I think, as far as Big C's college football power rankings, Oklahoma versus Texas. How can you miss that? Fans are not ready for the horns down to dominate conversation just yet. They're going to be doing it in the SEC. What a shame. They should have stayed in the Big 12. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. But it's big time. Can Texas or Oklahoma win the SEC in their first year? I doubt it, but Texas has a good team, and a lot of people think that Texas can challenge for the SEC championship. I'm not one of them. I think when you go against those coaches and those officials, it might be tough. We got Ohio State at Oregon October 12th. That's a big game. It's hard to believe it's a conference game and not a Rose Bowl. Dan Lanning's turned Oregon into a powerhouse, and Ryan Day has Ohio State always a powerhouse. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. But I want to close out a game in Texas at Michigan September 7th. It's where the nation's longest win streak ends for Michigan. And in 2024, it could be a big game. Texas coming up to the big house to play a game at Michigan. It's hard to go against Michigan at home, but Texas, if they have a team that can do it, they can do it. Georgia at Alabama, September 28th. It's a must-see. Georgia-Alabama, always must-see TV. Nick Saban's is gone. The board is there. We'll see what happens in that big clash for the SEC. I got to tell you, Georgia at Texas, October 19th. Texas beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl a couple of years ago, and that's the only meeting between the two teams since the 1980s. That's going to change over the next several years. They're in the same conference now. The team that wins this might win the SEC. No matter what it is, college football is back. It's back. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you on every Big C Sports show, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can walk it off. You can sleep it off. Let a friend drive. Don't drink and drive. The life you save may be your own, or someone you love, or someone who loves you. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I always pay homage to my family legacy on every Big C Sports podcast. On my mother's side, I want to thank my great-grandparents, Mama and Pop. Beautiful, wonderful people. Pop was a Negro League baseball player. Mama was a great grandmother. Really do appreciate them, love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my grandparents, Muddy and Hezekiah, wonderful people. They were seers. They can oftentimes look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, present, and their future. I love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and also coaching all boys, a literally baseball team to the championship of the universe. Always saying, rise and shine, the best person I've ever met in my life. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Dear mama, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. On my father's side, my great-grandparents, Albert and Alberta Curry, they had 3 churches. They owned 2 gas stations. They also had 40 acres of land. I was 8 years old walking through the hallway in Oakland. About 10 o'clock at night, I felt somebody touch me in my forehead. She said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some more cookies?" I said, "What are you doing up, Grandma? It's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some cookies?" I said, "Cookies are baby crap. What I'm doing, I'm going to get my reparations." But a couple of cookies wouldn't hurt because it's been a long wait. I love my grandparents with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Then my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that planes can fly high so we could all stay safe at night. Always saying, develop your mind to its highest extent. I love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Then my beautiful brother Todd with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning when Top would speak. A voracious reader, always saying go forward. In fact, he would say, don't look back because you don't have much backside to look at anyway. I said, I love my backside, Todd. He said my backside wasn't big enough. But our favorite movie was Pulp Fiction of all things. We love Star Trek and Star Wars too. But the scene where Ben Rames was talking to Bruce Willis, it had Sam Jackson and John Travolta as well. Before the big fight, if Ben Rames told Bruce Willis, he said, your butt goes down in the 5th round. Say that, and Bruce Willis said, okay, my butt goes down in the 5th round. And he said, that sticking sensation you're feeling, well, that's just pride. Loving with you. In any told Bruce Willis, he said, "Blood pride." He said, "Pride only hurts. It never helps." He said, "Boxing is filled with a lot of unrealistic melody buckets who think their butts get better with time, like fine wine. If you think it's wine, it don't. In terms of vinegar, then it do." He said, "You're going to thank Uncle Marcellus one day when you're chilling in the Caribbean. Now take this money, and you remember your butt goes down in the 5th round." We know that Bruce Willis didn't take the money, and he lost his L.A. privileges. That was one of our favorite movies, Love Top with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors, and 3.5 years from a major university. Daisy set up the very first interview for Big C's podcast back in the days of Salem Media. It became the first time in the history of the United States that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. They had never done that before. They would normally go to ESPN, but because of 2 black men in the crew, they started doing their thing on the Wall Street Business Network. They called us the Dream Team. And then Daisy, as I always tell you, trust God, Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon from niggas ever prosper. You can be anything you want. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College graduate, very smart, every day a good man. Malcolm, he helped me save trees. I used to always get the newspaper to look up stats for Big C Sports Podcast to study for players and teams. One day Malcolm said, "Dad, why don't you just Google it?" And the light bulb went up. I've been Googling ever since, 29 podcast platforms. One day Malcolm said, "Dad, you want to see Big C Sports on TV?" I said, "Sure." He said, "Pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports. You see your show come up." That's before it was even on the air. Now streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Malcolm, you can be anything you want to be. Always trust God. Always believe that you can do anything you want to do. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years, like my great-granddaddy coming out of that barn always saying, you got to believe, you got to believe, you got to believe, saying, let's get ready to rumble. I love saying, welcome to the show. ESPY nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no three-way teleprompters. I have no producer in the ear. All I have is this gland in the brain called the pineal gland. The angels call it the third eye. They say that's how you talk to God, and that's why I scream so loud, because I want God to hear me. That's why I keep saying, thank you, God. I want to keep giving God praise. It's amazing what happens in life when you believe, believe, believe. I want to say, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, but all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. And every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want to champion reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. You know, I always tell you, my beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever go through that crap on their own. You need more leader in your life. Leader is an acronym for love is the answer. If somebody's hitting you, I only hit you because it made me mad. Call 911. If someone's kicking you, I only kicked you because it made me mad. Call 911. If somebody's choking you out, I only choked you because it made me mad. Call 911. No man, woman, or child should ever go through that crap, and things change when the police show up. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, here's the time that I always honor what I thought they'd honor last night at the RNC convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I want to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and also President Abraham Lincoln. What they say? They said, reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! Say it 2 more times to honor the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and President Abraham Lincoln. Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! Let's do it one more time. Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.